Understanding VLOOKUP. Dealing with large amounts of data in Excel can be tedious. There are some functions in Excel that can make it easier, like the lookup and the reference functions. These functions help with referencing data across arrays, finding data, returning required values, and more. Through this module on lookup and reference function, we shall look at a vast variety of these functions and how to optimally use them according to our requirement. Let's jump right in. One of the most commonly used lookup and reference functions is VLOOKUP. The objectives of this video are to understand the VLOOKUP function and the importance of each parameter in its syntax. Learn to use the VLOOKUP function accurately. Apply everything learned to a simple example. But before we jump to do what we're going to do and how we're going to do it, it is essential to understand what VLOOKUP is and why we should use it. What is VLOOKUP? VLOOKUP is an inbuilt Excel function that looks for the corresponding result to a particular value vertically. It uses the left to right search and looks for the lookup value, which is the reference value, that returns the corresponding and required value in the leftmost column of the table array that is given as the input to the function and provides us with the result that lies in the same row. Why should one use VLOOKUP? VLOOKUP is a lookup and reference function, as we've already mentioned before. But why is it different or better than the lookup function? Here are the reasons. The VLOOKUP function provides us with the option to choose if we want an approximate or exact result, whereas the lookup function will by default provide us with the most proximate result, in case the value does not exist in our table. The VLOOKUP function allows us to conduct more specific searches, as discussed earlier. The V stands for vertical, which implies a search and return function in a single column. Understanding the parameters of the VLOOKUP function. The VLOOKUP function is written as we can see here, where lookup_value is the value that we need to find in the table array. Table_array is the range within which we want to look for the lookup value. The lookup value should always lie in the first column due to the left to right search method of the VLOOKUP function. Column_number is the column that contains the return value. Start counting the columns from the first column selected as part of the table array. T or F is used to depict if we want an approximate or exact value for the return value. T stands for true and returns an approximate value. F stands for false and returns the exact value required. If no value is assigned in the formula, Excel defaults this to true. Applying the VLOOKUP function. Step 1. Create some random data containing the names of employees of a company, the name of their spouses, and their date of birth. Step 2. Find the name of the spouse of any particular employee using the VLOOKUP function. This will be the formula for the result. Upon comparing this to the original format for the VLOOKUP function, we can conclude that B10 is the lookup value, A2:D7 is the table array, 2 stands for the second column of the table array, and Excel shall look for our resultant value here. Lastly, false means we want an exact result value and not an approximate one. Step 3. Input the name Rahul. Make sure that there are no extra spaces in the table or in the input lookup value cell, as these could lead to errors. The spouse name Reena shows up, which clearly depicts that the formula works perfectly. Special cases of the VLOOKUP function. Let's now look at an example where we can vary the parameters a bit, like changing the last parameter in the formula to true. Here's what you get. The problem here is that the names are not arranged in alphabetical order. Let's try that again. Only this time, use the sort function to arrange them in the A to Z order. Again, vary the last parameter in the VLOOKUP function to true. This time, the VLOOKUP function outputs the appropriate result. This encapsulates the basics of using the VLOOKUP function.